Welcome to Money Talk with Tiff, a podcast where we discuss everything money from tips and tricks to current events. Follow me on my journey to become debt-free and meet other cool people along the way. I am your host, Tiffany Grant. Now let's talk money. All right, everyone. I'm super excited to have a guest on the show today. Today we have Rahkim Sabree. Rahkim Sabree is a millennial author, speaker, personal finance expert, and the co-founder of a nonprofit called An Extended Hand Inc., which focuses primarily on empowering and educating those who are at risk of or currently impacted by homelessness. Thank you so much, Rahkim, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I love the Extended Hand initiative because, we had a little discussion before we went on about what homelessness looks like, and it's not what everybody thinks it is. So if you could just dive a little bit into that, like the different ways homelessness can look.
Right. So, kind of leading into the founding of the organization, I was very much desensitized to homelessness, right? So I grew up in New York, and, you see people walking around asking for money, and you just kind of learn to look past them or look through them. And so in establishing the organization, I had to resensitize myself to homelessness and educate myself on the spectrum that exists for people who are impacted by homelessness or in danger of being impacted by homelessness. And through research, I've found that, that spectrum is much wider than is publicized rather. You have people who think that homeless individuals are lazy or not willing to work. And they completely, skip over the population of college students who are homeless by circumstance because they can't afford housing while they're going to school, or the population of school-age kids, high school and lower, who are homeless because of their circumstances, and so they're couch surfing or trying to figure out, how to get a meal, or going to school simply to get a meal. And the population of homeless veterans who come back after being deployed, and they can't find work, or they're impacted by PTSD or other mental illnesses, and that creates a spiral, right? So you have people who, because they're homeless and they're in a situation where they're desperate and they don't know what else to do, a lot of times they do turn to alcohol, they do turn to drugs. And then you have your stereotypical homeless individual who is abusing drugs because they don't have any other choice, or they don't feel like they have any other choice, or they have to sleep under a bridge, or the different things that we see and demonize homelessness. So that was kind of the eye-opening piece of starting and co-founding the organization, is understanding the different spectrum of individuals who are impacted by homelessness, but also relating that spectrum to the average or everyday American, right? So you have people who live paycheck to paycheck and may live comfortably paycheck to paycheck, but if that stream of income stops, now you're a check or two checks or maybe three checks away from being homeless, and then having to figure out what it is that you have to do in order to kind of make ends meet, or not make ends meet. Right. You might end up homeless with a car and kind of living out of your car and that situation, or, a whole host of other things, but really just kind of my focus, my aim, my passion and drive in this organization, outside of the education piece, is to resensitize people to the issue of homelessness, but also help provide preventative measures for people who could be impacted by homeless, and then, of course, direct services for people who are impacted by it.
Absolutely. And I just want to drive that point home. Like, this can happen to anybody. Like, Americans, a lot of us don't have any savings. And so, like Rahkim said, we could be a paycheck or two from losing our house and being on the streets, or being in our car, or couch surfing from house to house. And that's real. And I think people need to realize, like, this is not a game. I can't stand clutter. So when I want to get rid of my unwanted stuff and turn it into cold hard cash, I use Declutter.com. With Declutter.com, it's very simple. You just use their handy barcode scanner to get a free instant valuation, no auctions, no fees, no hassle. You pack your items into a box and ship your box for free and get payment the very next day. Declutter.com is rated 5 stars on Trustpilot and a Better Business Bureau accredited business. Declutter.com has made me a lot of money from stuff that just sits around the house. As a listener to the Money Talk with Tiff podcast, you can actually get a $5 boost to your valuation or $5 off if you decide to buy something used. The code for that is MoneyTalk5, MoneyTalk, and the number 5. And you can use that when you check out at Declutter.com, DECLUTTR.com. I love Declutter, and you should too. So I want to just talk a little bit about, because I talk a lot on the podcast and on my blog about financial literacy, and I love how you put your own little spin on that, and you call it financial empowerment. I think that is so dope because, financial literacy, you're like, do I really want to be literate today? I'm not sure. But,
Right.
If you say financial empowerment, like, do I want to be empowered today? Absolutely. So you have your second book coming out about financial empowerment, which congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you can just talk a little bit about that, like, what does financial empowerment mean to you?
So I've been in financial services for going on 10 years, and I've seen the entire spectrum, right? You see people who have extreme wealth and people who have extreme poverty, and everybody in between. And what I realized is common among the people who have wealth is their mindset. And what's common true to people who don't have wealth is their mindset. And so the mindset piece is often neglected when we talk about the strategies that help to build wealth, or at the very least put you on the path to building wealth. And so more than the literacy piece that has, depending on who's hearing it, a negative connotation, helping people to believe, first of all, that it's possible to build wealth, and then instructing them on the means to do so in whatever avenue that happens in, right? So, you can talk about building credit, you can talk about budgeting and saving, you can talk about, the purchasing of assets or investing. And, all of those different avenues are small parts of the overall picture. But in order to have somebody become self-sufficient, not reliant on, coaching for long-term, or, that constant nudge, they need to feel empowered. They need to be inspired to want to do this kind of thing, because, finance has a kind of, and I don't think so, but to most people, a boring connotation. It can be complicated. It can be tiresome and take up a lot of time. You think about analyzing your spending or budgeting. I was doing the exercise last week, and I'm like, I don't want to look at these numbers anymore. But you think about the long-term effects of making these choices and planning, or rather what most Americans do and failing to plan. And then you have to deal with the repercussions of that and react from a survival perspective or a reflex perspective, instead of being proactive and understanding, okay, at this point, I'm going to be here. And so that empowerment piece is kind of like, getting the car started and warmed up to go on the journey. And, a lot of times they say you shouldn't jump into a car without warming it up. And I think that, putting that frame of mind where I'm going to be successful, I'm going to go out and I'm going to control my circumstances, I'm going to control my spending, I'm going to control my income, I'm going to sacrifice so that I can have later. I heard somebody recently say that discipline is a form of self-care. And that resonated so strongly with me because, discipline is that, that bitter medicine, that bitter taste in your mouth. Oh, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. I have to get up and I have to keep doing this. And it's a chore a lot of times when you hear that. But what comes out of the discipline in the long term is what everybody is aspiring for, whether it's that beach body, as a result of all the hours that you spend working out and being carefully aligned to a diet, or it's the financial independence that comes from paying yourself first, budgeting, saving, investing, not going out to the club every week and, buying a new outfit. And so there's that element of deferred gratification that really kind of hits home when it's necessary. In the world we live in today, especially with, the internet at our fingers and social media, it makes everything very easily accessible. And so in this world where everything is easily accessible, it's very hard to focus on disciplines and that deferred gratification, long-term planning, because, we're in the age of YOLO, right? So it's like, let's do it now. Let's get it done, because, you only live once, and, you don't know what tomorrow holds. But then tomorrow gets here and it's like, okay, well, now what do I do?
Exactly. And I mean, it's YOLO, but it's also FOMO, like fear of missing out.
That's
like,
right.
People don't want to say no to their friends because they're like, oh, they're going to have fun without me. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss that. That's one thing that I love about myself, is that I am extremely disciplined, because I feel like that had a huge part in where I'm at today. If I wasn't disciplined with my schoolwork, or I wasn't disciplined with my finances, discipline comes in all shapes and sizes. And I feel like it's a key pillar to have in your toolkit,
That's right.
because with discipline, you can practically do anything you would like to do. So I feel like that really, really hit home.
And I want to piggyback on that statement too, because yes, the fear of missing out is a true reality, but then that goes back to that empowerment piece too. So you are the sum of the people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And if those friends of yours are the ones who want to go out constantly every week, and they want to spend their money frivolously, and they want to chastise or alienate you because you have long-term planning, or you have a focus on maintaining your discipline, those are not the people you want to keep around. I'm very happy and very proud to say that the people that I spend the most time talking to and the most time with understand what my mission is. Even if they're not executing on my mission in the same way that I am, they demonstrate great respect and great understanding when I say, this is what it is, I'm not doing that. Or, you know what, I think I can, let my hair down, so to speak, and go out and spend a little bit because that's within budget. But a lot of what I've noticed, friends and family, when they see the success, or that upward climb and building assets, or building awareness and knowledge of the way that finances work, they become inspired to do the same thing. And so that success becomes contagious.
Yes.
In the right circles. And I don't have anybody who is close to me in my circle who is dragging me down, or telling me, oh, you're not cool, or, you're not down because you don't hang out with us anymore. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. They understand exactly where I am, exactly where I want to go. And I'm very grateful to say that a lot of them are very, very supportive in that.
Yes, definitely upgrade your circles. Because it has a profound impact on where you're at in life, where you're going in life. I mean, I recently, not recently, maybe about a year or so now, I've been in this group of Black female entrepreneurs. And when I say, when one person wins, then the next person wins, then I win, then you, it's just the feeling, the culture, and, just being in that group and surrounding yourself, but with those types of people, it just makes you think differently and do things differently.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I wanted to switch gears just a little bit, just a tad. And financial empowerment is great, and it's great to do it on your own, but you can't always do it on your own. So I want to talk about, I know you have a TEDx talk coming up in December.
That's right.
Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you very much.
I want to do a TEDx talk, and applications are open right now for the one locally, and I'm so nervous, but we'll talk, off the record for that.
Yeah.
But going back to that, so your talk is going to be financial empowerment as a team sport. Like, I know what you mean by that, but can you just give my listeners a little bit of what you mean by how financial empowerment is a team sport?
Sure. So, another piggyback, right, to the last thing that we talked about, and having your circle essentially be upgraded. I cannot claim all of the success for my awareness financially, because you can't know everything, and you shouldn't try to know everything, but you should know where to find things. And I pride myself on being able to identify who has the knowledge that I need, and then seeking that out. So when I say financial empowerment as a team sport, I'm talking about all of the players who help make you successful financially, whether that be your CPA. So, right, a lot of people shy away from going to an accountant or a CPA and paying the money for them to perform the service. But what I like to promote or emphasize in that is, I'm paying for his service, but I'm also paying for the relationship and the expertise throughout the year. So I'm not going to him once a year. Well, lately I have been, but I'm not going to him once a year and saying, okay, here's all my information, do it. And even if I do elect to do that, I still know in the back of my mind that I can pick up the phone, I can call him, and I can say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts? Or I'm in the process of doing this. What is your advice? And he's willing to give that information to me. We'll sit down and we'll talk for hours about what my strategy is, how to structure my businesses, and where do we want to funnel this and where do we want to funnel that. And he tells me straight up, he's like, my goal for you is to make sure that you pay the least amount of taxes possible. Mm-hmm. And from a certain perspective, like, that's business, but that's love too, right? Because who wants to pay taxes?
Exactly.
Or who wants to pay excessive taxes, right?
Hello.
So that's just one example, but that goes into many different avenues. You have your financial advisors. You have, if you're owning real estate, you have your realtors. You have your lenders. It's a whole picture of people, colleagues who are in the field. So I work in financial services, so you can toss ideas back and forth. The stockbrokers, anywhere that you can pull knowledge from, so that you have a very healthy pool to pull from when you're ready to get that little nugget, and then you can build on that, right? So I'm a huge fan of this idea of compounding, and not just from a financial perspective, but from a knowledge perspective. Every small step leads to a bigger base, until that base becomes a foundation, which you can build on, massive buildings, right? So I'm using this imagery here intentionally, and really kind of the first step or the foundation to that, I think what really deters a lot of people in the world of personal finance or personal financial management is that they don't know where to start. And so, to everybody that's listening, where to start is, just taking that first step. You don't know what you don't know. You're not going to know what you don't know until you start moving in that direction. But for every step that you take towards that direction, more and more and more becomes revealed. And then it just becomes this adventure. And I'm diving into books left and right, talking about different kinds of investment or investing styles, different strategies around dealing with debt or building credit, so that I have an arsenal of tools that I can then share with the audiences that I grace, whether that be on my platform or someone else's. And so it's that fear of success, I think, that fear of failure too,
Right.
And that paralyzes people and saying, you know what, like I'm not going to deal with it, or I'm not going to pursue it. And that goes back to empowerment, right? So you need people to encourage you. You need people to tell you, hey, like, you're messing up, get it together. If I show up at my accountant's office and he sees like all of these expenses and he's like, what did you do? What did you do all year? There's that accountability piece too. So
Right.
true to a team sport, and for anybody who's ever played on a team sport, you've got to do what you got to do to show up, whether that means eating right, working out, hitting the gym, just having that drive and that passion within your individual position. But you also have an obligation to your team, and your team has an obligation to you. And that analogy is true to financial empowerment because, again, you don't wake up knowing everything about finance. You don't wake up being an expert. And then financial markets change every day, right? So there's new information, there's new ways to invest, there's new things to invest in. And so there's a drive and a passion on my part for continuous education in the world of finance. And the only way that I can do that is by associating with other people who are in that world.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely a firm believer in having a squad because when I used to work at a firm, we had relationships with CPAs and estate planning attorneys and just all these people that made up the team because financial planners know a lot about certain things, but then CPAs know a lot about certain things and estate planning attorneys know a lot about certain things. So to have that all together as your squad,
Right. Building that team is important.
Exactly.
I
So,
have a funny story before we move on. Just kind of speaking about that. So, when I was in when I was in the process of purchasing my house, my lender was reviewing my information, reviewing my pay stubs and, tax returns and that whole kind of thing. And he's like, man, your accountant did a really good job at making it look like you take home less than you actually do.
mm-hmm.
Whereas my job is to try to make it look like you take home more than you actually do. So you have the butting heads, right, of the different strategies, because my accountant's job is to make it look like my taxable income is so much less and I'm walking home with much less than what it is that I earn. But then he's like, man, we need to find a way to get you to a point where it looks like you're making more so we can qualify you for more. And of course, there's a selfish motives within each profession, but I just thought that was so interesting and entertaining to see that, they're butting heads around, how to report this or how to report that on the tax form, and ultimately get me qualified for this purchase.
Right.
But that's just one example.
And I was going to say, even though, like, for instance, when I used to work for a firm, sometimes we would find things like, hey, you can be deducting for this thing that maybe the CPA may have missed, or the CPA would come to us like, hey, have you thought about this strategy? So, just working off of each other helps too, because more than one set of eyes on things is always a plus. So, we're going to wrap up here, but I just wanted to mention one more thing. You said you were from New York, and based on our conversation before, you're from money earning Mount Vernon.
That's right.
I'm excited about that because I'm from White Plains, and if anybody knows about New York, those are both in the same county, in Westchester County. So when he told me that, I was like, okay, I got family coming on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, if you can tell people, Rahkim, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about you?
So I have a website, and my website is as simple as my name, www.rahkimsabree.com. So that's RAHKIMSAB, like boy, REE.com. And then from there, all of my social media links are available. But I'm on LinkedIn under Rahkim Sabree. I'm on Instagram under Unlimited Investment Inquiries. I'm on Facebook under Unlimited Investment Solutions. And I am on Twitter at finance_Fridays.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Rahkim, again for coming on the show. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully this won't be the last time.
Oh no, it won't. But thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Money Talk with Tiff podcast. For free resources and materials, head over to moneytalkwitht.com. And while you're there, why not sign up for our newsletter so you'll never miss an episode? Talk to you soon.